Hey everyone, welcome back to the garden. Today I am in my raised bed veggie patch and I thought I would show you guys what's growing, and we're also going to put in some seedlings that I've got over here. Show you exactly how I would put some seedlings in, including a few products that I might add at the seedling stage to really give it the best opportunity to start shooting out with some new growth. We've got the chili experiment hiding over here under the netting, so I'm going to peel back that netting. We're going to take the chilies over and hopefully protect them somewhere else. They're starting to come back really nicely after the possum got them, which is great news. Okay, but we're going to talk about what we've got growing, and we're going to talk about the process of planting out some of these seedlings. Now it is, I guess, mid to late February, and I'm being ambitious, trying to push some of these summer crops a little bit further and try and really get some more out of this season. Something like corn, peppers, eggplants, these types of things, even zucchini, which I've got growing here as well. Something that we eat a lot of here in the household, so it's nice to try and squeeze as much out of the season as possible, but we'll see. How long can we make it last? We don't know. Anyway, let's have a look around. I'll take you around the garden and have a little bit of a talk about what we've got going on here. Okay, so the first bed we're going to talk about is this one here. Obviously, this is corn. I've got Balinese corn in here. I've got a whole another grid full of this corn. As it gets taller, I'm hoping to try and put some wrap around it. You can see the wind is starting to tug on it already and make it lean over, but we're going to maybe wrap something around it once it gets a bit taller to stop it from completely being flattened. But here are our little seedlings that we're going to do today. You can see these capsicums are starting to get a little bit leggy and be reaching for the skies. We've got two different types. We've got the California Wonder over here, and these ones are the Woolies capsicum. So I just grabbed a Woolies one. We're going to try and make some comparisons as to how they taste, how they look, and all of this from a nice organic California Wonder versus a Woolworths seed-saved capsicum as well. Coming over to the eggplant seedlings, you might be able to see that they need a little bit of water. They're struggling. The seedling soil is a bit dry here. But we've got the long purple eggplant here, and then all of these other ones are Florida eggplants as well. So we'll throw a few of those in and hopefully get some more lovely produce. Over here on the other side of the corn, I've just thrown in another zucchini plant. We can't get enough zucchinis around here. I'm hoping that it will sort of just come off the edge of the screen here and just kind of hang, give me some zucchinis underneath here. It might even kind of weave its way through the corn as well, but it gives it an opportunity to stay up off the mulch here with this, and allows us to have no digging mammals coming in as well and taking away from our produce. Now for all these beds, I'm using barley straw. You can see underneath here, if I just go in and give you a little look at the soil, it's looking nice and healthy, a little bit moist under there, and the nice thick layer of barley straw is doing wonders to try and keep that all in. I like to use barley straw because sugarcane mulch actually repels some of the water, and this barley straw seems to allow a lot more penetration of the water and a lot less being evaporated on top. Coming over to our second bed, we've got some comfrey growing that's going to flower. If you know anything about comfrey, it is a wonderful, wonderful plant. Really, really good to have growing around the place. It adds so much to the soil, and all of this becomes a wonderful food source for the soil. Even the flowers, can look quite pretty, and you can get some good pollinators in to help out. We've got some basil here. This is sweet basil, smelling absolutely amazingly. If I see it like this and it's starting to crown, you can see in the middle there, it's starting to, there we go. We can see it starting to crown and start to go to seed. What you can do is actually take this part off. I might take it even all the way down to here and pinch it off. And then what that's going to do is allow these fresh leaves to grow out and keep bushing out the plant without sending it into seed, and you can keep using your basil. Underneath the basil, you can see where I've had some bush turkey action. This whole bed was completely turned over by a bush turkey recently. I had zucchinis growing here. You can still see some of the soil up on the leaves. I had one there and I had one here, but this is our last remaining zucchini. The other one's got completely dug up by the bush turkey. This, you can see all the straw here is completely gone everywhere and sort of being pushed around. So I'm gonna have to come and use a few more bamboo stakes here to try and maybe protect it from the bed, and maybe throw something over it, a net or some wire or something to deter them in the future. If you've got any ideas for bush turkeys, throw them down below. Moving on to the third bed, you might have seen in our chili side-by-side experiment that these chilies were completely eaten, but look, they're coming back. It's looking nicely. The green is coming back, even over here on the NPK. Actually, look, there is some pests. Let's have a look. We can see some aphids being farmed here by the ants. Give you a nice close-up. Thanks for my fingernails. They're being farmed there, and we don't want these, so we're going to use some pest spray, I imagine, after this episode and try and get rid of these. But apart from that, that's on the basic NPK. This one is looking quite nice and healthy. Over here, this is our #1 blend. So I'm going to remove these chilies. I'm going to take them out. We've got, again, some more sweet basil. This one I'm going to try and let go to seed because I want these seeds and I want some pollinators coming in. So I'm going to let this one go to seed. But I'm going to pull all this off. We're going to remove this cage as well that the pots are sitting on, try and take most of the mulch off, and we'll make it all conducive to some seedlings. So let's dive in and do that now. So remove this. So let's have a little look under the soil. You can even see a worm here. That's awesome. That worm was just sitting underneath the pots. Now this has become fairly compacted, so we might pop you under there, little guy. It doesn't actually look too bad. So what I might do is just try and peel away some of the holes that we might normally do. Keep this as a nice blanket on top. It seems to be nice and matted. There's probably some mycelium growth going on underneath as well that's holding it all together. But we'll give it a nice deep watering. It actually looks like it's going to rain soon. That's why it's so humid. So we might actually not need to water it too deeply. So let's grab some seedlings and have a look. So here's the seedlings. I'm going to put a combination of things in this bed. I'm going to try a bit of capsicum and a bit of eggplant and a couple of the different varieties. So we might try and put at least one of each into here. I've also got a grow bag that we're going to do today that is left over. We're going to actually plant some cover crop in there, some cover crop seeds alongside the chili plant, and you can do them side by side. Hopefully it doesn't compete too much, but you'll see that because these have already got a head start, it should stay above the rest of it and we can sort of keep it down. I was gonna do that a little bit earlier, but you know what it's like in the garden, you run out of time. So let's grab these here. The first product we're gonna use when we're planting the seedlings as well is Nourish Me Organics Soil Fertiliser. It is our mycorrhizal fungi mix, okay? Now this you can buy, I'll link it in the description below. I've used it before. You can also find your own mycorrhizal fungi mix. It's basically a nice powder. Let's see if I can give you a good shot of that. So you can see it's like a powder. We'll just use that, and we're just going to sprinkle some in the hole as well at the same time. So this is the Nourish Me Organics Soil Fertiliser Mycorrhizal Fungi Mix. Now when we're planting these seedlings, okay, I'm going to have a little think about, this is going to give it some shade, this basil here on the side, so that's really nice. I'm going to interplant a few different things, so we're going to just aim for 4 at the moment. I want to have my eggplant on the outside here, so I'm going to try and make a little room with my fingers, get down into that mulch, and see underneath. There's some worm activity in there, which is wonderful. I'm trying not to disturb the soil web too much, so I'm going to get in with my fingers, just make a little hole. Now we get a little bit of the fungi, and I'm just going to essentially dust the most tiniest little bit into the hole. So I'll show you what that looks like. So you can see there that the mycorrhizal fungi is just dusted around the inside of the hole there. So now you can see exactly where it is. It's all around the outside of the hole, which is going to be in contact with those root systems. So it's going to develop a nice healthy root system from the get-go. We're going to pick one of these. I'm probably going to use this last one over here, this Florida eggplant, and we're going to drop the seedling in. So it's still nice and dry, this medium. We're probably going to lose a fair bit of the seedling mix in here as well. Look, even the roots just came straight out like this. So that means that it's not building a nice healthy root system in the seedling trays yet. We're just going to pop it in and allow all of that to make contact. Push the soil back over. Make sure the seedling is sitting in there nicely. And tuck around it again with that mulch. So its little head is poking up there as well. Okay. So first eggplant is in. We're going to repeat that again. I'm going to do the capsicum in behind this basil here. Just hide it in here. Again, peeling away. Oh, there's another worm. Plenty of worm activity in the soil here, which is great. Again, peeling away. Not too much room there. Just enough for me to get in that seedling. A little bit of a dusting on the inside. Pick a nice, let's go with our California Wonder. These are holding a little bit more structure, but still very, very dry. You could moisten them up again and try and keep a lot of that soil together. It's not going to matter too much. These seedlings will bounce back nicely now that they're in full soil. So once it's tucked in, again, bringing that mulch back around to sort of tuck that in, tuck the blanket in. And there's our pepper. Going to repeat the process again 2 more times, add in the extras, and then we are good to go. I'm going to start feeding it. You don't have to be too delicate with the seedlings because they are actually going to be growing up nice and strong once they're in this. You see people just dumping seedlings in. As long as they've got their main root system in there, they should be quite happy. So let's leave those and see how we get on. All right, so this grow bag here has been sitting out just for maybe 8 weeks, probably 2 months, nearly since Christmas, I would say. But all I've done is just put some straw on top and been watering on the straw. It's been drying out underneath a fair bit as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you how we re-amend this bed, basically add some more nutrients to it. And we're going to show you using the number 2 blend, the cover crop mix. We're going to sow some seeds in here and try and grow up a little bit of cover crop. But we're also going to then be able to plant some of those seedlings into here as well. You can do all 3 at once. My preference would be to amend first with nutrients, let it sit for a little bit, then throw this in, let that grow up a little bit, and then throw your seedlings in afterwards. But to be honest, that's going to take a little bit of time. So because we're running out of season and I want to get those into pots, I'm going to show you that it is okay to be doing it alongside. So a couple of things we're going to do to it, make it nice and healthy and ready to grow some stuff in. Let me just grab some number 1 blend and some worm castings, and then we'll get ready to go. So here we have our jar of number 1 blend. You can see it's full of all of those amazing organic nutrients that we're going to use in here. We've got our number 2 cover crop. We'll pop those behind there. And last little bit of some rural earthworms, worm castings that we're going to use just to top up, give it some extra love. So first things first, let's remove this mulch and just pop it to the side. You'll be able to see there is some life. There's mostly worm castings in here, to be honest, but there's still some things running around, breaking it down. It's a little bit underneath in terms of like volume. It's not quite full up to the top, but we do want to leave some room to be able to add some things on top and make the most of it there. So first things first, let's dust some number 1 blend across the top. We're probably looking for about a cup to re-amend this much soil. So that's going to be roughly half our jar. Working it in with our fingers into the top layer as per usual, just making it available to those first sets of microbes and bacteria to start breaking it down and turning it into soil. So we're not doing too deep. This is about up to my knuckles, and I'm just doing little circular motions to break apart the soil and get it all mixed in nicely. So that's kind of what it looks like there. Okay, disappears in nicely. The second thing that we might add at the same time is a little bit of the mycorrhizal fungi, but maybe we can do that with our seeds. So let's do that first. Grabbing again the mycorrhizal fungi, and let's just dust a light layer across the top. This is what we want in contact with the seed, because right from the get-go, the seeds are going to get some wonderful connections with the fungi, the mycorrhizal fungi. So around the rhizosphere, when that first little tail pokes out of the seed, then we're going to get wonderful contact and beautiful networks built. So let's get our Shed Organics number 2 blend. Remember, this is 60% clover, so it's going to have lots of clover in here. And we've got also lots of things like barley, linseed, snow pea, buckwheat, cowpea, rye, millet, wheatgrass, vetch, lupin, radish, and mustard. So let's get into it. You'll be able to see here all of those beautiful different seeds in here. Lots of range, lots of diversity. So let's pop this nice sprinkle over our mycorrhizal fungi. Trying to get some relatively even coverage, but remember, with seeds you don't have to be that well organized. Cool. So that's plenty. That should give us a lot to work with. You don't need too much, to be honest, in this kind of size. It's all going to grow up hopefully anyway. Lastly, a nice dose of worm castings just to cover up lightly over the top. See how it's just a light sprinkle. This is again going to provide some instant nutrients available to our seedlings and seeds. You can go and sort of break up these bigger parts, and kind of, I like to do it so there's not too many big parts on top. You don't want too many clumps. Might do another, it's not much left in the bag, but sprinkle it on top. Remember, we don't want to completely cover some of these seeds, but most of them will be perfectly able to germinate in this. A little bit of a pat down just to make sure those seeds all have contact. You can also kind of do this again, just give it a little mix around, make sure it's all got contact, and there's all sorts of stuff going on. You can do this as well. It's also not necessary, but there we go. So that's wonderful. Normally I might just leave this, let it all grow up. Like I said, try and get a little bit of height on the green manure onto the cover crop, then chop it and provide as mulch. But what we're going to do here is use some more of this barley straw, kind of sprinkle it over the top really lightly. We do not want to suffocate these seeds. This barley straw is kind of wet as well, so we're kind of really stringing it out so there's enough light, oxygen, and water that's going to be able to get through to have that perfect combination of ability to grow, make the most of it. So that's probably all I would do as a little bit of a mulch cover just for now. Okay, we don't want to do too much, but we're also trying to protect the soil a little bit in itself. So it gives the cover crop a nice little layer of protection, but it's not completely suffocating it. So let's bring our seedlings back over again. We're going to do 2 different types of capsicum into this bed. We're going to put one on either side, one of the Woolies and one of the California Wonder, just to get a little bit of comparison going on. So Cali Wonder first. Let's make a little nice little hole. Now we've already got the mycorrhizal fungi gone into this already, so you don't need to double up, but you could if you wanted to. And the Woolies one over on this side. Again, tucking it in nicely, returning that thin layer of mulch. Labels, California Wonder and Woolies capsicum. Okay, see if we can tell the difference. I've got to go and label the other ones where I put those two. All right, so lastly, we're going to water in with some liquid feed to all of these plants, okay? So I've got some products over on my left-hand side here. You would have seen those before if you've been watching the channel, but essentially we've got a couple of different ferments from the legend over at organicferments.com. So if you want to get some super awesome ferments, go and check him out. The other two products we've got that we're using today are ocean-grown fish hydrolysate and the deep ocean kelp. So what I'm going to do, grab this sprayer. I've already got about 6 liters of water in here. I'm going to add those products in. The ratios are on the back, but I just like to free pour a lot of my, I guess a lot of my concoctions, okay? We don't need too much, but we just want a little bit in each one. And it's gonna, whoa, those ferments stink. It's just gonna add in some wonderful microbes, some microbial activity, some bacteria into exactly where we need it in the root zone so that these seedlings can get a nice little bit of nutrients on their first little transplant. It also reduces the transplant shock a little bit. Now, with all of these products, okay, it's important not to drench them, to overdo it. Less is more when we're feeding, especially with liquid. You can go a little bit too overboard, I reckon. So let's give this a little bit of a pump. So we're gonna do our seedlings over there. We're also gonna do these seedlings here. We're just gonna give them a light spray, get right down underneath into where the root zone is as well. It's the benefit of these, you don't have to break your back. Get into there on our seedlings. But remember, we also want to spray a whole bit over the top of this one because this has all of our wonderful cover crop seeds in there, which are going to grow up as well. If you want to get yourself one of these bags as well, they're really great because they don't lose moisture. They've got plastic lining on the inside. They're from Nutrifield. You can call them, they're called grassroots or they're called living soil. There's a whole bunch of different names for them. There's a whole bunch of different companies, but you want to look for the ones that are plastic lined on the inside, because then they don't lose too much of the water out the sides. They do stop down the bottom, so you can kind of see where the water is coming out the bottom. So nice little drenching on top there. Let's take it over to the seedlings over on this side. I'm also going to do the rest of the garden bed with this as well, going into the seedling soil just to kind of keep these last ones going with a bit of food. I'm going to spray the comfrey, a little bit on our zucchinis. Because we're in the daytime as well, they can use this food straight away. They can utilize it, start to draw it in through the leaves. Corn loves a good feed, so often I'm even doing this every 1 to 2 weeks just to kind of really boost up the food here for our corn. Again, more on the bag, just letting it slowly soak through. Don't want to completely drench it, but just letting it slowly soak through. Bit on the basil. I think that'll do. So to wrap up, what I'm going to do is just cover this back up, make sure that there's no nasty visitors that come in. I'm going to move this out the way because that's almost guaranteed to get eaten. I'm going to move it into a slightly shadier spot and give it some nice good cover as well so that it's not going to get eaten by any possums or any rodents or anything like that. Birds even can come in and just dig that up. Bush turkeys, again, if you've got any help from my bush turkeys, please leave them in the comments below. And the chilies that you probably can't see below me, I'm going to take and cover up as well. So there's a lot of protective mechanisms going on that we're about to do. But essentially, that's my process of planting out some seedlings and a little bit of food that I might add into the beds. So hopefully it gives you a good idea and maybe we can give you some updates as we go along. So thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please let me know. Leave a like, subscribe, all the rest of that garbage that you know we normally ask for. And we'll see you again real soon on the next video.